Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's convening of the Vibrant Hawaii Resilience Hub stream. My name is Ashley Kirkowitz. I chair the economy stream. Co-hosting with me today is the co-chair of the Resilience Hub stream, Maggie Kahoiloa. We are so happy to see everyone. These discussions that we have been convening, they are to shine a light on different initiatives that are happening right here on our islands that are meant to be building resilience in our community. And so 3 things we're going to be covering today. Bennett Dorrance, who runs Kohala Village Hub. We also have Nathan Riedel with USDA. He is going to be providing us with an overview of grant funding opportunities that can help to keep some of these hub initiatives going past CARES grants. And morning, we're going to be joined by Jenny Bach, who is a school program coordinator for Lapahoihoi Community Public Charter School. She's also the creator behind Be Love and the Honeybee Education program that is actually being implemented right now as part of our CARES Resilience Hub initiative. All right, at this time, I'm going to launch our participant poll to see who is joining us today. You'll see the poll on your screen. Scroll through to get through all of the questions, and you've got to answer all the questions in order to submit. I'll give everybody a couple of minutes. Okay, thank you all for participating. Wow, we have a lot of weavers joining us today. These are individuals that say they can connect others in their network to this work. We have a couple of folks as identifying themselves and lead key, someone participating with an interest, and a number of individuals that say they have support, resources to contribute to this work. We have a number of engaged citizens represented on today's call, and really every single sector: business, philanthropy, education, government, social service, and faith. There is representation. Also, all areas of our island are represented today. Lots of strong participation from North Kohala, Waimea, and Hilo. Also good representation from Puna, North and South Kona. Great to see people from Ka'u and Hamakua joining us. We have a few people identifying as Kupuna and one individual identifying as youth. Thank you all for joining us. Okay. All right, at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Bennett Dorrance. He and his wife, Delphina, founded the Kohala Village Hub. And so Bennett, just wanted to provide you with some time and space to share your story. We're really eager as to how you founded Kohala Village Hub and how it's transformed over the years and what your vision is for the hub in the future.
Great, and we're not going to do the grounding statement, just to make sure.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I didn't have the agenda in front of me. Perfect. Thank you. You've come to so many meetings, you know the drill. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and share my screen right now. I really appreciate the reminder. Okay, here we are. Bennett, why don't you kick us off with the grounding statement?
All right. Vibrant Hawaii is a growing community that commits to individual and collective amo kuleana to increase equitable opportunities to build wealth, an abundant reservoir of human, social, natural, and financial capital that we contribute to and draw upon.
Thank you. Maggie?
Our kuleana is to convene conversations so that all va'a can travel towards a common goal, build community awareness, will, and action from the foundation of our shared values, shift deficit narratives, systems, and policy that perpetuate poverty and inequity, and implement strategies that are developed and resourced by community and reflect Native intelligence.
Thank you. Lauren? Lauren, you have to unmute yourself.
We value equity and belonging, and we demonstrate this by being willing to let go of our assumptions and biases about each other, speaking up when we recognize barriers that prevent us from participating, prospering, and reaching our full potential, promoting full family engagement and participation, and raising our own and our collective belief that wealth, abundance, and prosperity is not a pie. More for others does not mean less for ourselves.
Thank you. Joelle.
We value aloha, and we demonstrate this by acknowledging that aloha is unique to Hawaii. It is from this place. By valuing aloha, we value the vast and unique genius of the people of Hawaii, and we prioritize the knowledge, skills, and solutions of its people, recognizing that aloha is an action modeled to us by our environment, and we validate its aloha through aloha aina and our willingness to suffer a little so that no one has to suffer a lot.
Thank you. Keiko?
We value Awamo Kuleana, and we demonstrate this by a commitment to empowerment rooted in our belief that everyone has skills and abilities, but needs circumstances and opportunities to express them, promoting language that recognizes a person's abilities and shared ownership and accountability. If any one of us stumbles, we all fall because we are all connected.
Thank you. Nathan?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. We value flexibility and learning that leads to transformation, and we demonstrate this by being honest without shame. When we don't know, being courageous, adaptive leaders, even when it calls for difficult conversations, and even when our outcomes look like failure. Demonstrating a hanui and ha'a as we hold, thank you. We hold tension to achieve change, and practicing makawalu and acknowledging that we each hold one piece that is part of something bigger.
Thank you so much. That concludes our statement. All right, Bennett, reintroducing you again. Thank you so much for reminding me to get through the grounding statement. Now we are grounded to have these conversations about resilience.
Yes, and is it possible to give Joel the screen sharing so he can do the slide deck?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second. Joelle, you are all set.
Okay. And hopefully you can all hear me. I have wonderful rain today. It's been a long time. So while Joel works in that, I can share. So so this says One Heart Hub. A few years back, my wife Delphina and I started. We invested in a property in Hawaii, and we called it the Kohala Village Hub. And it's great since we're all into hubs now. This really emerged out of the CDP in our area, where there was a real call for food sustainability, food sovereignty. And then we were really aware of the limits of the public education in the area, and we have 3 kids ourselves, and so we were really looking for a space to do alternative education. We actually tried to start a charter school at a different property, and were told by the public school complex that that was a bad idea, that even though they did not know the quality of our education, that it would probably shut down the middle school. And so we started, so it's kind of, we got herded into this effort buying this property right in Hawaii. So we started there, and over the years, we've lived here over 20 years, and we had gotten involved with different things around like music and food, We had our farm, and some of these entities at the bottom of this slide show that. The Kohala Village Hub and the Kohala Village Inn are part of that, the one property that we bought to be the hub. And we were, and a couple of years ago, we realized that we kind of had this hodgepodge effort. And so we realized we could bring it under the title of One Heart Hub. And the intent of that was to, galvanize everything to, as far as sharing story with the community, but also just for ourselves organizationally. So we set that up and defined ourselves around food, arts, culture, and ecology. Thanks, Joelle. So here's a mission statement. One Heart Hub weaves Aloha by providing programs and properties for people and planet prosperity. One Heart serves as the Dorrance family parent company for purpose-driven businesses supporting a healthy community, healthy world through food, arts, culture, and ecology. And so we were kind of going our merry way. We had that, and then you could go to the next slide, Joelle. Maybe one more slide. We'll go to the Feed Hawaii. Along the way, we also set up a nonprofit because we saw some needs for accessing grants and things like that. So we actually acquired a pre-existing nonprofit and started morphing that into something that went beyond just food and got into wellness, which fit our food, arts, culture, and ecology motto. The premise of that, just to share, the premise of that is really based on the best story I've run into is in The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And there's a point where she talks about this effort in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, where like millions, if tens of millions of dollars had poured into that community to try to shift things, and it had really fostered a dependency on that, and the morale within the community was very low. And so as we got into our One Heart thing, and we ran into information like this and stories like this, it was made really clear that what Lynn Twist did when she came in through the Hunger Project was they engaged the community specifically around vision, around asking questions of what would your community look like, if you were resilient, and what would make you proud to be in this community. And it was things like that that actually led to galvanizing and helping the community to emerge out of their troubledness. So we got really inspired by that, and so that's kind of where we've been trying to go along, and we have we have had our kind of little businesses here and there, and then we also have partnerships with all pre-existing partnerships and efforts in the community. There's Kohala Institute. North Kohala Community Resource Center is somebody that we, as an organization, we work with. We were already working a lot with. And then there's different food efforts and things like that. So it was all still kind of multi-directional where we're going. And then along came COVID, and COVID really changed the nature of how we were looking at things, where the businesses really haven't been working. And that really, it stands upon an industry, the tourist industry, and things that I think now we're all questioning whether that's the most sustainable way to be approaching how Hawaii moves forward. So along the way, also, we actually a week before COVID hit, we hired Joelle Tan as, I think of him as our executive director because we're this blend of for-profit and nonprofit, but he is our director for social impact. And so he's going to share a little more about, since 2020, what have we done? Because I think the Resilience Hub concept really gets strengthened and emerges out of that. So I'll let Joelle speak. I'm still muted.
Myself, and then I'll go back to sharing screen. Aloha, everyone. I'm Joelle Tan. I am Director of Social Impact for One Heart Hub. But I'm very new to Hawaii Island, or I still feel like I'm very new. I've been here for 6 years, and I've been getting a lot of valuable experience. Oh, sorry. Am I sharing this? And prior to coming to One Heart Hub, I'd served as the executive director for Kalani Honua, briefly at East Hawaii Cultural Center, and then most recently was the acting general manager at Kohala Institute. So I've spent a lot of my career in the realm of public health, arts and community engagement, and community development. And so I brought a lot of that here from my background in California, mostly in LA and San Francisco. Further back, I was born in Manila, and so my route is Manila, California, Hawaii Island. And so I started off initially in Puna in the east side, met a lot of great people, met a lot of you great people there, and then also got involved in the assessment stage of Vibrant Hawaii's development. So a lot of what we're talking about Resilient Hub, about resilient hubs and what it can do, and the framework is the kind of stuff that gets me excited and gets me up in the morning. So to have this role is very much a privilege and an honor, especially in this time. I think I mentioned to you that I had a background in public health, and I was very active in the late 80s, early 90s around the HIV/AIDS movement. So got my first bit of experience around epidemic. And so it's interesting, it's come back around this time and something just kicked into gear. And so what does that kicking into gear look like? I was brought on to optimize our purpose-driven potential, right? To take all of these for-profit businesses that are aimed to do good through food, arts, culture, and ecology, and kind of meet the current needs of the time. So this is probably at least the most dynamic time I've ever lived through yet. And so with that, we built a small team, and our approach is really to conduct an ongoing assessment and prototype some social impact initiatives that we've never really done before in exactly that same way. There have been partnerships and past projects that have informed it, but none of us could have ever really known how to deal with what we're dealing with today. And it's exactly the occasion that presents a need for a centralized resilient hub. And what does that look like for us? Well, initially it's about me being the new guy, looking around, living in North Kohala, and asking lots of basic questions to a lot of really phenomenal kupuna, and learned that there is a lot of potential, and between where we are and that potential, there are things to consider. Like there are ways that the North Kohala community works together really well, but like with any other community, there are also rifts. There are also dynamics that get in the way of kind of smoother, centralized community organizing. I also learned that that this is a community that's been asked a lot of things. So there's the assessment fatigue that I think we can all relate to in going out and trying to find out what community needs. And there have been past efforts. There have been folks who have, I was involved in some of these past efforts with Ulupono, where there was a gathering of 4 of the larger Kohala organizations, Friends with Future, Kohala Center, Kohala Institute, and then KCRC, with the intent to centralize around food and food systems. And that got up to a point, and then it kind of lost steam. And I'm certain as I learn more that there were other efforts like that. But COVID certainly presents a different situation. So with that, we went out a little bit more boldly and started to put things on the ground to see how they work. And so there's three kind of initiatives that I've identified where I house a lot of our prototypes. And some of these have been landed and some of them are still very much in concept stage, but it's all with the idea that all of these things hanging together will create the kind of the comprehensive resilient hub that could potentially meet the needs and the changing needs of our communities, both the ones that are here and the ones that are rapidly coming here now. So first is town square. And so ultimately at the heart of that, the idea of a town square is just that. Is there a central space? Is there a central concept? Is there where North Kohala community can go to? And so one of the things that we're working on right now, you've heard us talk about this last week if you were at that meeting, is to get a farmer's market permit to hold at our space. There are already a farmer's market that's going on now, but we will be permitted. And then the other thing we're looking to do is to pilot something like Uncle Robert's Kalapana night market, but in Kohala's case, it'll likely be dusk because that's nighttime for Kohala. And then you're also seeing in the middle image the mural project that we've been working on. So some of you know that that our restaurant and our pub burned down in March 2019. And so in its place, there's going to be a rebuild, but we're at this point when COVID hit, we looked at that slab really as a site of potential, because we knew that outdoor dining and outdoor activities were going to be more needed in this COVID era time. But we thought, okay, at the time, it was early on in the quarantine, what would help enliven an otherwise scary and dreary time? And we thought, well, what are the stories of Kohala that lift us? So what you're just seeing is not so much the end point, but it really isn't one outcome of a community visioning and interview process that we conducted with individual kapuna and stakeholders and focus groups to arrive at the symbols, the stories, and the kind of aesthetics that make up this mural. And so we have just completed the mural phase with artists Kanoa Castro and Raven Diaz. And so we're currently looking to build curriculum from this Kohala-centered curriculum with the hope to pass that on to keiki and to households. So we had also imagined the farmer's market in the site, as well as potential food service in the site. And of course, we're only going to implement as it becomes safer. The image to your left is our work with the official Resilient Hub in North Kohala, and that is the work with Partners in Development with their Keiki Cares program. And in the middle is our resident Mary Poppins, Raven Diaz, who's a mural artist for the center mural, and she's doing hands-on work with our Keiki. Ross reached out, they got some funding, but they needed more support and help because it didn't quite cover everything they needed. And so we went in with the intent to partner with Partners in Development to create and to keep building on a resilient hub. And so we lent out Raven, and good thing we did, because what we immediately observed, as you all are probably observing, is the big challenge of focus and attention with our keiki and sitting in front of a screen. So she does all the hands-on art stuff, and as soon as they hear her car rolling up, they are screaming and hollering and ready to go, which tells us that there really is a need for hands-on arts education, play-related work to intervene with what's happening with our keiki now. The Kohala Cares food drive that happens every Wednesday happens in our parking lot. As well as we are sharing space with a homeschool cooperative. And through that process, not only are we providing a service to a local community, but we're also really on the ground learning what it means to operate in COVID era in terms of safety procedures, the protocol, and all of the fine details that create that make that a normal practice, right? And then also lastly, we've been holding the plastics recycling at our parking lot, but it's going to another level where we're considering as a community getting a shredder kind of like Paho Plastics, engaging something where we not only make good use of our plastics, but we turn it into something that could potentially create more opportunity and more means. The next piece is that we looked at is community wellness. In order to even get, so resiliency at the heart of it is all for us about wellness from the inside out. And in the middle panel, you'll see early on, still early on in the pandemic, we pulled together a vigil really inspired by, Kohala deals with a lot of drug abuse issues, particularly around meth. And so, and all of the kind of wreckage that comes with that. And so we thought at the time, as well as with COVID, could we pull together a sunrise to sunset vigil where, again, we worked with social distancing, where we had it both on Zoom and on site, where there was ritual, there was music, there was talk story, for folks to just to be able to share their mana'o and to be with one another. And also in community wellness, we're doing a lot of gleaning from our farms, and you could see a quick summary of what we've donated so far from our farm. And then on the very right, some of you Puna folks will recognize the very awesome Menapa'a that have been partnering with us on our farms, as well as we've just engaged them, and they're going to be setting up a North Kohala office. So in exchange for agriculture education that we're providing them and their ohana and that crew, and they mean to take that to Puna, literally take our dirt to Puna. We're also looking for their expertise to help break the cycle of disease, incarceration, and addiction. And they're so very good at this. And so we're just at the early stages of that. And that's just some of our work in community wellness. And our third is really centered around technology and bridging the digital divide. So I just want to be clear that yes, we do participate actively in food and food systems, but I'm pointing out 3 initiatives that we feel is like bridging a gap. And so one of this is the digital divide. And for us, this means very clearly first the broadband issue that we're installing a dedicated fiber line at the hub, and that will kind of like a public bathroom, or we will be able to offer folks, relatively speaking, the fastest and most reliable Wi-Fi. And we believe that's a huge benefit, since there is a gap still with households, and particularly the way education is going toward online. We're really seeing the gaps around digital divide and technology access. We've also, in this time, boldly went forth and started making videos. If we can't hold public programs, we are on a learning curve around producing videos, and we've been creating these backyard revolution videos to teach people the basics of farming. And that's coming out primarily from our Northern California retreat center, but we've also developed some here. And so we're doing some video work in addition to the video work you see on the left is our very own Lehua Asam, who's led Kohala culture classes. And this is all under the rubric of, to your right, Balm for the Quarantine Soul, which we kicked off with Kumu Ryan McCormack, who, early on in the quarantine talked about mythology, Hawaiian mythology that speaks directly to our plight, our current plight. So that really helped bridge together and kind of present some arts and culture and mythology work to provide balm. And we also did for those of you who knew, I produced a tattoo festival last October. And we did a reunion online, and that was still really rich. And so, we're just waiting to produce the next one. But ultimately, I think what you've heard is we are in process, right? We definitely have a growing idea individually and collectively about what a resilience hub is. But we're at this stage, these are the key questions for us. So in light of the fact that the situation is the boss, the COVID situation is the boss, what does it mean for prototyping and building a resilient hub with quickly changing dynamics around the virtual and the physical? So that is just one where no one is exempt from that, but that is definitely a key piece to consider in the evolution. Secondly, is the hub itself literally like a one-site thing, or is it a centralized network that works in coordination? And then similarly, is this led by one organization, one backbone organization, or is it shared different? Is the Kuleana shared differently? Is it in consortium? And then the big question on the table is, how do we support this? How do we fund this? Where are the partners? Where are the foundations? In light of a major state, county, and federal deficit happening, I think we are all recognizing the need that there are only greater needs coming with fewer resources available. So the need for greater cooperation, centralization, and communication is of utmost importance. So much so, and I'll end here, that I participate in a weekly North Kohala food cooperative meeting with some of our key players. And collectively, we've just arrived at these same questions. And we're back to now with the major groups in conversation, recognizing the need to conduct a community assessment for this time. So we're just beginning that process again and starting to identify the needs beyond food. So it's starting to address our current situation more comprehensively. And so we're starting to take the first early steps around that. So that is that. And our hope is mahalo for your time and attention. I know that was a lot, and I'm happy to review anything if there are any questions. But moreover, we're looking for thought partnership. We're looking for cheerleaders. We're looking for ideas. And if there are blind spots that we have, please let us know. But we are all committed to create this kind of resilient hub that we so desperately need in this time. Mahalo.
Thanks, Joelle. Hey, I'll just add a little bit, just that I think, you know, right on the edge of everything that we're doing, and Vibrance really brought this out, is the community vision, is asking the right questions, finding the right formats to ask. And that's our first hurdle, is really finding a way to really engage the community in more questions, more answers, to build that vision, so that it's not about one organization. And certainly in the funder realm, they're looking for, you know, consortium type efforts rather than singular ones. So, you know, it's a wonderful problem to have. I really feel like this is a huge opportunity for the Resilience Hub. So because they can bring multiple sectors and organizations together. And the only other thing I want to say is I'm hoping as we go forward with all the resilience hubs that, you know, I started really sitting in on these meetings to just hear about the different projects that are happening, and to have one place for our hubs, all the different resilience hubs, to really see all the different opportunities that are being created, because they're all different in each of our communities, and to really have that flow through, that you can kind of grab onto that and see, you know, and look how you can bring it into your community. I think that's going to be a key part of this too.
You are doing phenomenal work. Thank you, Bennett and Joelle, for taking the time to share a bit more with us. You know, I absolutely hear you when you talk about, you know, now is the time for us to be activating this network of hubs. I mean, we're doing it right now through the CARES grant. And I think it's great that we have someone from USDA here with us today to kind of talk about how we take it to the next level. You know, oftentimes we talk about how duplication is not a good thing, but with hubs, duplication is absolutely the way to go, because of how big our island is and how different the needs are in every single community, and how each community wants to be interacted with. Everybody is just so unique. And I think what we're laying right now is a foundation of really incredible things to come. I think at this point, Maggie and I have a list of people that want to be part of the Vibrant Hawaii Resilience Hub network, but there's no funding available. But I think now is the opportunity for us to lean into leveraging those other forms of capital that we talk about in our grounding statement, beyond just dollars, which I think are very critical. There are other things that we can be leveraging, like our human and our social and our natural capital. So we'll continue to hold space so that we can spotlight different efforts. And I think at some point, Ben, it would be great for us to kind of put our minds together and think about the kinds of questions we need to be asking our community, so that we can find ways to kind of best support their needs through a resilience hub. Any questions for Bennett and Joelle? Or comments? That was phenomenal. I mean, you guys you're blowing my mind right now. You're doing so much.
Can I just add that one of the things, as we're also on a full-on kind of grants research thing, and I keep hoping that the bigger foundations like Gates, like that level, Ford Foundation really looks at Hawaii Island, right? And you know, it may not be. I'm of the belief, and I've had experience where just because there isn't a grant-making program yet about it doesn't mean that there can't be. And Vibrant Hawaii and the way we're organizing is exactly, I think, the right setup for us to say, hey, look at Hawaii Island, right? Because we've seen it happen with Tamarack. I think this is the moment where we're saying the Resilient Hub is probably the most, to me, obviously I'm biased, a compelling framework. But if we were to say we're coming in as a network of resilient hubs and we're looking for partnership to develop this over 5 years, and we need 5 years kind of funding in order to make this happen, will you take a chance on us? So that's where I've just started to kind of pull on some threads with some folks I know, and if other folks there have other contacts of those kind of larger, like that's where I was thinking, like Ford is the kind, and Rockefeller might be the kinds of and I don't know what I really don't know what our history is on Hawaii Island or on accessing that, but I don't know why we wouldn't try if there's an opportunity.
Ashley?
Hi, Lauren.
Hi. The only thing I'd like to say is that I'm so glad to have sat in on this presentation. It's excellent. The two words that hit me were community development, because as I'm working with the Waimea Resilience Hub, right now we're insular, but the direction we want to go in is to develop the community. So I think I will use that wording to explain more so that it's more of a community development program, not just a one organization pushing forward.
Thanks for sharing that, Lauren. Yeah, I do think words matter, and that's such a galvanizing sort of terminology, community development. Right. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Well, thank you both again for your time. I hope you do stay on for the next presentation from Nathan Riedel. And Joelle, I hear you. One of the things that Maggie and I have been thinking about, which is why we invited Nathan today, was finding a way to kind of curate a bunch of different grants and funding opportunities. It's not a one size fits all, because each of the hubs are operating differently and are at different levels of their development. There's just different bucket streams for everybody to tap. So thank you again for joining us. Nathan, thank you again. I think some new folks have joined the call. So folks, Nathan Riedel is with USDA Rural Development, and he is here to share with us opportunities for potential funding.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. And I want to thank Maggie as well for inviting me here today. I appreciate the opportunity. I will see if I can get my slide deck here and maybe see if we can get this figured out on how to share this. That didn't work.
Perfect. We see your screen.
Oh, you can. Okay. Great. All right. So I work for USDA Rural Development. We work in rural areas of the United States under the USDA umbrella. There are many different parts of the agency. USDA Rural Development is the one I guess I'm here to speak about. There are 7 mission areas of USDA. You know, the 6 you see here, and then of course rural development is what I'm here for. Now we do have. This is going to be a brief overview of our programs. We do have somewhere in the 45 different programs that are available to rural areas in the United States and many of the islands in the Pacific under the U.S. territories and whatnot. A good place to find a lot of information is on this website here, the USDA agencies website. There's fact sheets that give you facts on each of the programs as you wish. Now here at Rural Development, we have 3 different pillars, I guess, of our agency. We have the Rural Business and Cooperative Service, Rural Housing Service, and Rural Communities and Rural Utility Services is combined over here. I work for the community facilities or community programs, which includes community facilities and rural utility service at this point. You know, rural housing service, we do single family housing loans for low income rural areas. We do 100% financing on these home loans. We do provide multifamily housing. We have several around the island, mostly elderly type housing, but some low income. And then community facilities is under the rural housing service as well, which I'll get into here in a minute. So single family housing, we do purchase, we do build, new builds, we do repair loans, and we do grants for elderly. And most of the grants that we do under this program are to alleviate health and safety type problems in homes for the elderly. Multifamily housing, like I said, we do elderly. We have several over Kona side. We don't have a lot in Hilo right now. Hilo's been not considered rural in our program for some time. On this island, it's just the zip code of Hilo that would be uneligible for our programs. Now there are other eligibilities for each of the individual programs that you know, as you get further into the program, we can maybe discuss. So we do have a USDA-RD page. It has a variety of things that are going on it. Rural housing service, the community facilities. So this is kind of why I'm here. We provide financing for hospitals, healthcare clinics. I heard earlier talk about starting a public charter school. We do provide financing for that. There are some small grants available. There are different ways of financing. We have direct funds that come from the U.S. Treasury with, you know, that we administer in ourselves, and then we can also guarantee a bank loan and provide you know, a guarantee so that they might be able to do a loan where they otherwise would not have been able to. So some of the, you know, schools, daycares, firehouses, community centers, which is all kind of where your guys' wheelhouse, it sounds like right here. So we would like to hopefully partnership with you in the future, and would love to, you know, talk more about these programs as we can. A third branch of our rural development is rural business and cooperative service. We do business loans for upcoming businesses. We do some energy programs, which include, you know, PV and different energy conservation types programs. And then we have cooperative programs as well under that. Rural cooperative services, we got rural micro entrepreneur assistance program, intermediary lending program, business and industry loan and guarantees. Under utility services, we do water environmental programs, electric and broadband telecommunications. What the electric and the broadband is administered through a regional hub, I think through California. We do the water environmental programs out of this office. And we have several projects. I'm not sure if you've heard about the Lono Kona project, where we help finance with or partnership with the county and help finance that sewer system above McDonald's in Kona recently. And we're starting a new project in Papaikou on the north side of Hilo here to provide or to redo their water lines in that community. Water environmental programs, more of that. Excuse me. What we're here for is improved infrastructure, support public health and safety, promote economic development. And we do have some grants that we can provide for pre-development costs, for engineering reports, for different environmental reports, stuff like that are kind of costly up front. We provide a grant for that, and then we work into a larger project from there. So that again is a brief overview of our programs. The Hawaii State Office is located in Hilo here on the Big Island. We operate throughout all the islands and then through the U.S. territories as well. The Hawaii State Director is Brenda Iokepa Moses. I have to spell that. Brenda Iokepa Moses is a Hawaii State Director, and my name is Nate Riedel as a presenter today. And this is my email address, and I can get my phone number out there for you guys if you have questions, you want to talk. And I got a few minutes yet, and we can do some Q&A if you guys would like to, if you have questions. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys allowing me to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. There was a chat that there was a question that came in through the chat from our executive director, Janice Siketa. Okay. She's wondering if you could describe the ideal candidate or applicant for your grants.
Oh, yes. So nonprofit or government entities qualify for our grants. Ideal, I don't know if there is such a thing. We work in the unique areas of financing. Of course, most of the things that we do aren't bankable, if you will. A good candidate would be, somebody that has need, but also has some repayment capability for a loan. Now, for a grant, that's different. We want to, if there's no repayment capability, there are some, MHI, the median household income requirements for our program. They have to be below a certain, the CDP from the census has to have a median household income that's below a certain level. And that's information I can, of course, share. There's certain areas of the island that are more eligible for grants and some that are not because of this, and also because of some population requirements as well. So hopefully, I can give you an idea of what each individual organization is different in many ways. So I don't know what an ideal grant applicant really looks like. I know that we do grants, and it looks like your organization seems like a fit, This is on face level. I don't know without looking at other things, but I'm kind of excited about meeting with you guys today. So appreciate that.
Mahalo. If I could just elaborate a little bit more on my question, I think in my experience, and I've been in grant writing and nonprofit administration for over 20 years, and oftentimes in emerging nonprofits, there's a like, oh, grant, free money, yes, let's go get a grant. And getting a grant is step one and the easy part. Keeping the grant and then having a clean audit at the end of the grant, especially if it's a federal grant, is the more arduous, cumbersome, and work part that oftentimes nobody talks about or thinks about until it's a little bit too late. And so as I jumped in late, but I heard comments around community development and capacity building. And so for USDA grants, what kind of human infrastructure, what kind of skill set would a nonprofit need to have if they were looking into applying for a USDA grant? What kind of things would they expect? Because what we know is that there's no such thing as free money. There is work that goes into it. So can you describe that process a little bit?
So the process, as you're describing, we are a federal agency and there's paperwork. There's plenty of paperwork that goes into it, and there is work associated with it. The process, we have a pretty clear, checklist, if you will. If you're organized correctly through the state, with the 501c3 or any other version of a nonprofit, is a great place to start. Some of the capacity we want to see is, we want to see some history, but we also know that maybe there isn't history. A lot of our grants aren't huge in this program. So we're talking about, $30,000, $50,000, something like that, for grant money. So we don't get too far into, we want to see a good project. We want to see good intentions. We want to see a capacity that you want to have financials for your organization. That you're running the organization the way it should be. It's not, something that popped up overnight and is probably maybe going to shut down tomorrow. So we're kind of looking into those kinds of things. If it popped up overnight and, you got good leadership and good things like that, we can look at this. It's all subjective and we don't have, firm, I guess, milestones or things that we look at. I mean, there are, certain things that we need in this package, the loan or the grant package to, that make you eligible and qualify you for it. But the project itself, we have a lot of latitude in this program to make decisions and do good things for the community. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yes, I have one last question. Are you on Hawaii Island?
I am. I'm in Hilo.
Awesome. So I'm just curious to know, and it's more of a community question from one community person to another community person. I'm just curious, what are you greatly inspired to see, given the role that you have within USDA and the opportunities of funding that you're aware of, and given your just how you sit in the community and what you're seeing happening in our community? What are you really wow, I think it would be amazing to see something like this happen, or this is an opportunity that I see. Is there anything that you've thought of?
Absolutely. Things that, I guess, maybe things that kind of drive me to do my job. I love to see the food distribution. I love children being hungry is a big thing in my my mind. I don't want to see that. I want to be able to help. I want to do things to alleviate that. Now, you know, in a broader sense, you know, bringing clean water to a community that's to me rewarding as well. We've been able to do some of that type thing. You know, it's not as glamorous as building a new healthcare clinic, but it is also important for our communities, you know, to have clean water and sewage and things of that nature. You know, I really enjoy this side of the house. I started out with the agency doing multifamily housing, which was also rewarding in its own way. It's a little different housing. You know, it's neat. You can help, you know, 50 people at a time, something like that. You know, it's great, good work. But some of these things in the community facility side are large community impacting items, and you know, people really do see the value in it, and I do as well. And to answer your question, you know, I really enjoy what I do, and you know, it's hard to say. You know, I see 3 or 4 great projects a day, so it's you know, it is competitive, and it's almost to give you an idea though, is if you can get your application together and complete, you get a great chance of being funded. So, you know, that's key, as you know, in grant writing, is to make sure everything's there.
Mahalo nui.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nathan, for joining us today. And thank you, Maggie, for inviting him to present. We really appreciate the overview of opportunities. And we will be following up with you. I think you've heard, you know, from Kohala Village Hub. And like we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of different hub operations around the islands. And Vibrant Hawaii is here to support them in obtaining these funds. So definitely we'll connect with you to see how we can take advantage of some of the grants and other, you know, product opportunities you have.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you again for letting me sit in. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nathan. Appreciate you. Mahalo.
All right, moving right along to our final speaker, Jenny Bach, who is the school program coordinator for Lapahoihoi Community Public School, Charter School. She's also the founder behind Be Love and our Honeybee Education program, which has really taken off in partnership with the Vibrant Hawaii Cares Resilience Hub initiative. So Jenny, we would love to hear from you as to, you know, how you started the program, what you think it means to, what, you know, the role it plays in building resilience, and some of the work that is happening right now to support them.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ashley, and thank you for inviting me, Maggie and Janice. We began the Honeybee Education program in 2007. I was a beekeeper out of UH Hilo and began beekeeping as my first business opportunity. And I feel like I received a really clear message from the bees. And they just basically told me, you got to get bees in school, teach children to love us. And from that point on, we started the Honeybee Education program, where we put beehives, live beehives on campus. We teach children and expose children to agriculture, opportunities in agriculture, internships, linking farmers to school. I've also been involved in the farm to school movement, where we are working with cafeteria managers to change the school lunch programs to incorporate more local procurement. We run a 100% snack program that's locally sourced, 100% from local farmers, mostly on the Big Island. And so the Honeybee Education program works with honeybees, but we also want to expose and interact with our agriculture community and with students. So yeah, that's a lot of our programs, and with our programs with Resilience Hawaii is learning by doing. And I'm a strong advocate of our old ways of learning is by watching and doing and having the hands in the soil, or the hands on the beehive, or in the honey, whatever you want to call it. That is our very main way that I see children learning and growing. When Ashley asked me to be a part of the resilience programs, I was I didn't know what to expect. And what has come to manifestation has been amazing. I feel that Vibrant Hawaii has such a strong mission and energy and leadership that the synergy, just working with you guys has made it easier for me to become a better leader and to interact with people, to bring people on board. So what we're doing now is we've found instructors all over the island that are experts in their field that already work with Keiki, and they're open to teaching and offering programming. Examples are nutrition education with local and native products such as ulu and sweet potato. We have an instructor teaching about and instructing about kalo and starting kalo gardens at Children's Place. We have beekeeping, agriculture, theater, recycling, upcycling classes, and so forth, all available to the hubs if they desire. And most of it is INA-based, place-based curriculum. And that's really exciting because I feel that children, especially right now, with there's so much technology being given to them and there's so much online learning, even at school, they're on their computer a lot because they have to catch up to the platforms, that we really need a balance to this online learning. And it can be controversial. I'm a mother, I'm an educator. I have a way that I would like my child to be exposed to things, but not keeping it controversial. It's just that we need a balance. And yeah, so we're just trying to we're offering opportunities for children to have outside time, hands-on learning. And it's been really fun to work with the Laupohoehoi Hub, and the children are really receptive to doing other activities and having community members come in. And it's been an amazing interaction to see how receptive the children are. And yeah, I think that in order for us to be better citizens of the earth and better community members, we need to have a deep reverence to our home and our island place here in Hawaii. And the more that we can just give that to the children or give them opportunities to connect with their home and their this island, then we have they have just a better sense of who they are and a better sense of well-being. And I think we make better choices when we're connected to something that's greater than us. And that's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome, Jenny. Thank you so much for taking the time to share. I'm just curious, what have been some of the reactions of the kids in Lapahoehoe as far as some of the programming that they've been exposed to? Anything that they were like apprehensive to do, but then they did a complete 180 and were, pleasantly surprised at that experience?
Yeah, I haven't been with every instructor, but with my program that I offered them on Tuesday, we worked with wool and beeswax. So I was explaining that animals provide products, and beeswax was one of a product. Most people think of honey as just a honeybee product, but beeswax is a product. So they molded beeswax into pumpkins or whatever they wanted to mold it. And then they were able to work with wool roving and wool felting, which none of them have ever had that experience of working with wool. And we made little pumpkins out of wool, which is actually pretty hard to do with just raw wool. And what I loved is that I could have sat and talked to them about sheep and wool production, but their questions that came up were, well, where does wool come from? Why do they have wool? Why is it this color? And because it's dyed and so forth. So when I see children asking questions, I know that they're fully engaged, and that's exactly what we have to be doing versus like, it's, we just have to allow them to be engaged, and then they'll answer the questions, and that's real learning to me. So I thought that was really exciting to see the children. They were able to take home this unique thing that they have never really felt and used in their hands. And so it was just an example of they were working on the computers for all day, and then they're able to do something with their hands and create something and share with their families. And yeah, I think that the children at the Laupohoehoi hubs are, I see a lot of struggle as well, because I think that children just are very intuitive, and there's a lot going on with COVID and the pandemic and school, and I think that they just need more love. And I think the more that we can show them ways of love and connection, then they really are receptive to that.
Thank you, Jenny. Any questions or comments for Jenny?
I just want to say thank you. I think what you and your group is doing is amazing. I'm always so excited when I get your emails, and I'm always like, I want to have that too. I think our hubs are so fortunate to have you investing in them in this way. I didn't hear you mention about the ulu trees, and do you want to share about that?
Yeah, so it's really an Ashley inspiration. When we spoke initially, she said that she really wanted families to take home things like garden kits, beehive kits. And for me, when I look at sustainability on Hawaii or resiliency in food systems, is that we all have access to food, even in our backyards. And an ulu tree represents a lot in the Hawaiian culture of growth and sustainability, and it fed people for many thousands of years. So I contacted the Ulu Cooperative, which are a partner and a great group. And I was like, do you have 100 Ulu trees? And they're like, yeah, we have these trees. And so what we're doing now is we send out a registration form for the hubs and families to receive an Ulu tree. We're also going to offer a video of how to plant it and what kind of amendments and fertilizers you can use. And hopefully the Ulu Cooperative will actually do that because they are the experts in that. And then we're also hoping we are going to offer home garden kits as our next kit in November, probably around Thanksgiving, as they'll have access to seeds, soil, earth pots, which are the fabric earth pots. So they can actually have a garden, even if you live in an apartment building. You can have your herbs, or you can have your kale, so we're hoping to launch at least 100 to 120 of those for the families, and provide instruction too. So it's, I think that's exciting that children will have access to an ulu tree, and if they don't have one already. And if they don't have it, maybe their grandma has the space, and it will just create that synergy with their family of like, oh yeah, this is what we should be doing right now. And it's just, I'm excited about that too. And that's really an Ashley inspiration. So.
And what I love about the way that Vibrant Hawaii operates in our core belief that everyone is useful and everyone has something to contribute. So Susie Osborne had brought over a cookbook that her students made several years ago. And I was like, I have this whole cookbook about ulu. And I was like, perfect, because Jenny's going to be giving away ulu trees. Yeah. And I love to see this, like everybody contributing in what they have and the resources they have. And who knows the ripple effect of when these trees grow and fruit. What kind of contribution is going to come from there, and the ways that our community takes care of each other. Mahalo for that. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. And we recently planted ulu trees, 4 years ago on Laupahoehoe campus, and we're reaping the benefits now. So it is it's not that far away. In 4 years, we can have ulu on our trees, and we're feeding our children that, and they remember. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to follow up with a big mahalo as well, Jenny. Thank you so much. And I think it's so amazing how just the connections and the confluence across all the hubs, even organically. You know, for example, my family tree is an ulu tree, and it was just something, you know, my grandparents, they knew if you had an ulu tree in the yard, you weren't going to go hungry. You know, that was a symbol of abundance, you know, that we had. Heidi Hart, who's doing wonderful work with the kids at the Halikei Hub, there's one, she developed these leaves of emotion. So every kid, they don't have their names on them, they just did these kapa leaves, and we're going to have a big magnetic ulu tree right when you walk into the reception area, where as part of their check-in, they come in and they take their leaf and they put it on an emotion that they're feeling within the ulu tree or whatnot. But I think it's really cool how it's all tying together. And if you have any need to expand or you want to expand, I know that, you know, Priscilla Bosque, she's huge in the bee industry. I mean, she has her wannabe Pono shop, and she would be willing to help implement your programs on this side of the island as well. So making these connections and not reinventing the wheel, but sort of collaborating across streams together, I think is just a really beautiful thing. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Awesome, thank you. And I'd love to share quickly too that, you know, I feel like we have the capacity right now to serve the hubs. We have instructors in Kona, we have instructors in Hilo, Puna, and there hasn't been a whole lot of response. So I really, if Ashley and Janice and anyone can just we really want to utilize our instructors to work with Keiki. And I know that we're busy and that they're busy and everything, but it'd be really great to really utilize these instructors because they have a lot to offer. And they're also located, it was really important for me to find instructors in the community so that they live in, because that's what this is about, is utilizing our community togetherness and building resiliency. So I hope that they can contact them as soon as possible.
Thanks for that, Jenny. And thank you for being so receptive to really scaling up your program to serve kids island-wide. It's phenomenal how much you've done in such a compressed amount of time to make all this happen. So thank you for contributing to the resilience of our Big Island.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I just would like her to drop in the chat the best way to reach out for that, for her program information. Because I know we got the 3D printers, we got all these, different programs we can reach out to. Just give us the best way to and who to contact.
Okay, I'll put in the chat my contact email, and I will email you the form where their instructors, they have a list of what they offer in their contact. Great, thank you.
Aloha, this is Lane Huff from the island of Maui. And Jenny, I also am a member of the Farm to School Network. One of the initiatives coming with the support of your Ulu Co-op on the Big Island is, of course, the pilot program with, it's a toolkit for teachers to teach about Ulu. And that has been spread out in a pilot form throughout all our islands. So just to let you all know that this is one chicken skin way in which we are, as a state, within all of our islands, working on cooperative efforts. Mahalo.
I have a question, Jenny. So our project runs through December 18th. And what's your vision for after December 18th?
Oh, I've been thinking about that so much. I would love to see this keep on going and growing. Originally I thought we would be starting gardens at these hubs, but I don't think that we have the time to do that. Starting a garden takes, I would say it's like a year-long project at least, if not more. So I'd love to see in the long term, if we're looking long term, to build gardens in community areas or centers, pollination gardens, beehive areas where they can have access to beehives. To build our instructors, and we only have a small list. Well, it's not that small, but I'd love to have more of a list. And it's amazing because the instructors are really wanting to do this work, and they have time and they want it. So I'd love to build the instructor capacity, and I'd love to see more food from the Aina being served in the community meals, which I see a lot of already, and trying to create more of a comprehensive list of farmers who can have access to the chef hui, which is also happening, but just more and more of that, so that we can have an 80% meal that was procured from Hawaii Island. Or we've been giving the Laupahoehoe Hub beekeepers so that they can buy honey for families. And in this time where the pandemic is taking place, we really want to see the nutritional levels be upped in children and families. So I think that this program combined with the chef hui is a huge, great collaboration for resiliency and health and connecting children to the Aina well-being. It's all one circle. So yeah, I'd love to see it grow.
One of the things that I've been excited about seeing happen is like coaching. So I've had a health coach, I've had a financial coach, I've had like a business entrepreneur coach. I've invested in these like private coaches. My kids go to private piano lessons. I would love to have like this being like, sign up for a 1 hour garden coaching, because like we want to do it, we just have no idea. I tried to grow things. I got like 2 beans. I was like, I can't feed my family with this. 2 beans and 4 cherry tomatoes. Eat up, children. We are feasting. But if there was to build like a directory, a cohort of like, sign up for a beekeeping coach or a garden coach of how to do this, because it's one thing to put the seed in, and then what do you do after that? And like, how many seeds do you put in? And Yeah, I think that's like if folks with this skill set could start seeing it as such a valuable thing that people would be willing to pay for on a one-on-one private basis, I think that would be amazing. And it would be such a benefit for families like mine.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is right. I hear this a lot. Like gardening's intuitive, but it's not that intuitive. Like you have to have some skills. And gardening in Hawaii is so different than gardening in the mainland. So if you got a coaching from the mainland, you wouldn't have the right skills for tropical, this kind of climate. So yeah, I think that would be a great thing to do. I think it's a little hard to do it virtually, but when we do our ulu, for example, our ulu tree planting, we'll videotape it. But it's such a hands-on kind of thing to do. And that's why I said in the beginning, it's like learning by doing is really gardening and a lot of agriculture science is you do it, then you get it into your body and you understand. So yeah, I would love to offer something like that. And I only know so much, and there's amazing instructors that are much more, have so much more than I have to offer. So it would be awesome to have a coaching like cohort that is, all different types of instructors and what they can share. And there is a need for it because there's a lot more people wanting to start home gardens. And I think people are seeing that the system is fragile and that this needs to happen now. And so a lot more people are getting chickens and so forth. So it's just, yeah, I'd love to help out in that way, especially with the coordination of other instructors. So yes. Great idea. I'll do some coaching.
That's cool. One of the things that I was thinking of, even when we were rounding up all the programming to submit for Resilience Hubs, is that there were a lot of, confluence. I mean, it's a huge word, but we're seeing it across streams, across the island or whatnot. So in these train the trainer type programs, if all of those involved with certain areas of, like, say, beekeeping or gardening, were able to come together in a think tank to bring together all of their best practices for an overarching program that's a collaborative between everyone doing this amazing work, it might be something that could, add value overall to the entire project. But I think we're on the right track with thinking here. It's wonderful. And thank you, Jenny, again, for all of your work.
Thank you, guys. Speaking of gardening, I need to go teach a garden class to kindergartners, but I thank you very much. And I hope to see us grow. And like again, I'll put in the chat my email address. And please contact my instructors if you're a hub captain or someone in your community, because they are ready, like the garden in Kona. I have 2 instructors that would love to help you and bring things for your garden there. So you will be really pleased. So thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Great to see you. Oh my God, that was so good. Okay, because we didn't do introductions in the beginning, I want to do introductions now, and maybe we can all go around and everyone take a minute to just reflect on what inspired them from today's conversations, and if you have thoughts on what you would like to see in subsequent convenings of this Resilience Hub convening. All right, Lauren, let's start with you.
Lauren, you're on mute.
I enjoyed listening to Bennett because he has a lot of experience with HUD type of work, and they're so close to where we are in Waimea. I also enjoyed the USDA. Periodically, I've tapped into them for various reasons, just haven't ever focused there. And I love the hands-on teaching with the children. That's exceptional. I don't work at that level, but kudos to those who do, and to this bee program is wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Do you have thoughts on topics that you would like us to convene around in the future?
I'd like to hear more about what other hubs are doing in like what Bennett is doing, because I looked at the different phases of developing the hub, and we're just starting out in phase 1 basic, but how do you move forward? I see how Bennett has done it, but I'd love to hear what other hubs, more mature, let's call it, would offer.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Susan?
There we go. So some of you know already that I'm a local artist, originally based in Lower Puna, got kicked out by the volcano, so now I live in Hilo. So I consider myself sort of representing both districts, because as long as I own land in Puna, I am a Puna girl. And I have an apartment here in Hilo because I finally figured out I can't afford land and a house in Hilo, so I just got an apartment because I still have land. One day I hope to be a commuter farmer, but that's not happening anytime soon. There's no way to get to my land. As a practicing artist, I am always looking for ways to work with the community and especially kids. I do a lot of mural making and working with recycled materials. My biggest problem that I face is just surviving financially. I can work for free forever. I will never have a lack of work to do. But I do still have to pay the taxes on the land and the bills in this apartment. So those are my puzzles, but I have a deep need and desire to be able to work with community, especially around issues of land use, homelessness, lack of access, and being able to get people together to make something wonderful and exciting that lifts us all up. Because one of the biggest things, especially now, is being able to do something hands-on and tactile that is meaningful. I see it everywhere, especially the little kids. They're stuck on a computer all day, if they're lucky, or they have to drive to town and be stuck on a computer every day. And that's just not fair. It's not right. It's not how we should be living our lives. So what I'd love to see more in this is just more about what everyone is doing and where I can fit in and really make the most of the skills that I can bring to the table.
Thanks, Susan. Great to see you.
It's great to see you. Thank you for inviting me.
Len?
Mahalo. I'd love to see more communication from island to island and more people participating who could share. First of all, what you're doing is absolutely remarkable. And it is something that I hope the whole state can come to understand and participate in and learn from. Having said that, I'm a networker, and so I like to see things go from island to island, or from one part of the island as you're doing to another, and expand that way. So I just volunteered to continue being that background in education. I have quite a few connections on the Big Island through the state, as I said, farm to school hui. So Nancy Redfeather, if that rings a bell to anyone, Mingwei Ko, Amanda Ryu, Donna Shapiro, if any of those names resonate for you, I'm close to them. And beyond that, it's just listening, learning, definitely getting out of the silos. And you folks are way beyond that. And as I said, I started with listening. So it comes back to that. Mahalo.
Thanks so much. Michelle?
Hello, I'm Michelle. I'm from Hawaiʻi County. I focus on sustainable development and more specifically climate action. Just like Len, I'm here to mostly listen. I really like the emphasis put on children. I think that really hits home on a professional and personal level. And I think one thing that might be helpful, and there might already be this already, I'm probably just not familiar with it, but with the different hubs around the island, what are the maybe prioritized projects, like the top projects, and which ones are ready to go? That might be helpful because I participate in a lot of groups on like the state level too, and they have some funding opportunities. So understanding that and knowing what the different partners are doing throughout our county too, it would be helpful to identify like intersections on collaboration. But yeah, so amazing what you guys are doing. And thank you so much for putting together this conversation.
Thanks, Michelle. Joelle?
I find great inspiration to be in these conversations because as much community work as we do here, there are moments where it feels really isolating. So let me just state that. For future topics, I'd like to get in a little bit more around community assessments. Is there another way to do it? Because we still want to, like, what is that? And not just to identify. I can identify until the cows come home what the challenges are, but like what has worked for some people right now. And so it's really that, and it really toward this kind of coordinated, and I don't know if that's that's not even the right expectation, but I just keep imagining a more coordinated way of fundraising because I really do believe we have to now. Like there's just no, because yeah. Anyway, so mahalo to you all. Always glad to be in this conversation.
Thanks, Joelle. Keiko?
Aloha. My name is Keiko Mercado. I am a long-range planner in the planning department. And I guess I would echo kind of what everybody's saying in that I'm here to be a listener, to figure out where I can plug in and connect with folks and where from the community development plan side of things, we can help to best support and try to push some barriers that might already exist or might come into existence. And so, yeah, I love, sometimes our work we get so stuck in our cubicles and the tasks that we have to get done. And so this inspiring conversation helps to just keep us pushing forward. It's not always the easiest intersect between government and community. And so having this format, yeah, I love it and I appreciate it so much. So thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Keiko. Mario?
Oh, sorry. Okay. My name is Mario. I'm a Corps Vista in R&D. And I'm, as Keiko Michelle said, I'm here to listen and especially learn since I'm new to the island. So there's a lot for me to learn. So I'm just here to see what everyone is doing in the community and just learn from everyone.
Thanks, Mario. Great to see you.
Great, it's always good to see you.
Heidi?
Trying. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Heidi.
I think you muted yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Let me take my mask off for a second. I'm with Kula Aloha Aina, and we are doing art and dance. And Thursday we made ki'i or mass. We're at Hali Ki'i, and I'm in Walmart right now getting prizes for the kids because we're going to have a little costume contest. And I'm a professional artist and dancer and performer. I'm usually traveling around the world, and I have degrees and all these things, but my purpose is just to instill art and the love of art and creativity in the children, and also for this beautiful Aina and the land, our home here. So that's my main goal. And Haliki'i is just a lovely hub. And we have a costume contest today. So hope you're all having a great day and Halloween. And makahiki.
Thanks, Heidi. Jan?
Heidi, please share pictures of the costume contest if you can.
Okay.
I've so been enjoying seeing all of the art that you've been doing with the kids. It's amazing. Thank you. Ash, one of the things that I'm really curious about is as a group in this project with CARES, we've, like I reflected on a week or so ago, we've gone through the forming and we survived our storming. I think we are well into norming right now, but then we look forward towards performing and then transforming. And I'm curious, as we anticipate 2021 and this project with CARES coming to a close, what does the next revolution of our work look like? And if we could spend some time now thinking about that and how we might be strategic in preparing for that, and how we might be resourceful in anticipating not having the kind of monies that we have right now. Where do we go from here? How do we be, like I said, strategic and resourceful? And what do we anticipate as the needs that are still going to be there in the community? And what are some of the creative ideas that we have of collaboration and sharing with each other that might be able to continue to fulfill some of those needs? That's something I'm interested in.
That sounds great, Jen. And I think also, how do we get more individuals that are, say, on our wait list and wanting to be a hub or to kick off some kind of resilience program? How do we make sure that we're able to expand our ability to support more that wanna be part of our network? Maggie?
Hey, yeah, Maggie, y'all know me by now. I'm really inspired by every hub meeting. You know, I think that I wake up, I eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. I wake up at 2 a.m. How do I fix it? You know, so it's just, and it's just the vision, you know, where there is vision, there's provision. So I'm just moving ahead as though I'm looking at phase 5 and getting in prison systems already. I know I need to reel it in a little bit, but you know, we had to let go of our first kid yesterday, and it's only been 6 days into full operation. We got to understand we're serving the most vulnerable keiki, and along with that comes a lot of things, you know. So, and it's not like we wanted to. It's been from day one. We've spoke with the mother. It's been an ongoing thing. But when you know, when it crosses a line and you have to let them go, my whole thing from looking at the not wanting to leave anyone behind, it's like, how is this kid 10 and he doesn't read yet? How has this not been addressed? Is there a program that is created or I can create myself that when it comes to this point of a group of 10 still being too large to be able to give specific attention to one child, what can we do? Say, here is an after school program, here's a program, here's a Scared Straight in Love kind of program. I don't know, but it's getting my wheelhouse turning because there is a huge gap. And the fact that we're in this with these kids, I mean, there've been mandated reports already that go to the head and find out that the person in charge of everything is actually connected to this group of kids. I mean, there's a lot of exposure happening at the same time as well. So while there is a huge pretty picture and we're a part of it, there's also a very ugly underbelly that we need to be looking at. So that's the urgency that I come to this with, because even as a bail bondsman, I'm looking at kids that are 10 and thinking, I don't want to have to deal with you when you're 21, you know, and that's kind of the mindset that I'm coming with as well. In addition to, hey, come do art, pick a fish and paint it with Auntie Maggie on the wall. Here, go out and plant a papaya tree with Auntie Maggie in the garden, you know. And the other thing that I really think is really just heartfelt and touching is my own daughter texted me last week. It was her dad's week. And she said, Mom, can you take me to the hub next week? I have a meeting at 3:30 with the hub captain. And so I'm like, fine, that was yesterday, right? So we go there and I'm getting to know the kids because I stay out of the way. Now it's like my leadership style is, okay, you're going, you are the, and now I ask all my questions to the hub captain to make sure that it's okay. I mean, if they need oversight, we know the chain of command, but if I'm on site during keiki hours, taking my own temperature, I'm texting Michael what it is, I'm walking in the door, rechecking, you know what I mean? There's a certain protocol that needs to happen. But for my daughter to go in with her STEM binders from all the way back at innovation through her rocketry and say, I can start kids off with mousetrap cars. I can start them off with PVC water balloon launchers. I can teach them how to keep their data journals, even if it's just doing this with 5 mousetrap cars for each group of 10, because we have 50. And one of the kids likes to do the drawings and document in the journal. And the other one wants to tinker around and see how they can get the bearing straight on the wheels so it goes the farthest. These are the kind of things that now we can have in-kind kind of contribution from kids, teaching kids within the community. And a lot of this is what we're tracking in our volunteer. Before we even had access to CARES funding, the Haliki'i Hub is from the ground up. We did not even have a contract on a building to do this. And we did this within 2 months of negotiating leases, getting nonprofits, partnering with other nonprofits. All of this stuff can be done, and well, you just need the right kind of people to bring it together. But anyway, long story short, we do need to figure out how to monetize the beautiful work that we have going on. I mean, we have kids that are capable of so much if we just give them the opportunities. And if we can do, I mean, even through basic fundraising, I mean, we can go in and we can say, hey, I mean, because my heart's like, what happens in December after these kids go through Christmas and they don't have a hub to come back to because there's no funding? That's not going to be okay with me. So it's something that Ashley and I are continually throwing up on the brain dump every week and meeting on Mondays and saying, how can we move this past CARES? So any feedback or any options coming back would be wonderful. In my mind, I'm thinking if you're doing business in Hawaii, if you are capitalizing on tourism in Hawaii, you have a kuleana to community to support these hubs. And if you're not going to do it willingly, I'm going to come there and I'm going to come here. That's going to be me. So anyway, I'm in it.
Thanks, Maggie. We're all in it. We're all in the arena together. I've really enjoyed kind of helping to co-host many of these conversations for the last few months. I'm continuously amazed by and inspired by our community. I'm always thinking about how to get people to the next level or inviting people to this work and helping them to believe in themselves and for them to find their passion and purpose. Because I think when you are doing that kind of work, it really feeds your soul and makes the world a better place. So thank you all for sharing and reflecting with us so that we can plan our subsequent meetings and make sure that these are really meaningful conversations. So thank you for joining us. We will see you in a few weeks. Take care.
Thank you.